Vedanta Swami, Prabhupada's there. So I didn't even knock. I just opened the door. I didn't think, again, the etiquette, I was just so excited, I'm going to see Prabhupada again, but I'm tired and confused, a little confused. I opened the door, and I turned around, and I started dragging Prabhupada's suitcase in backwards. And I'm dragging, I'm looking at Prabhupada's room, and all of a sudden, Nanda Kumar, who was serving Srila Prabhupada in London as a servant, he said, "Hey, watch out! You're going to bump into Srila Prabhupada." And I dropped the bag, and I turned around, and I was this far away from Prabhupada. He was just standing there, Hare Krishna. And I said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada." And I fell down on the ground. And I started offering my obeisances. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta. And all of a sudden, on my back, there was a slap on my back. And I thought, well, Prabhupada slapped me on the back. Well, I couldn't figure out if it was like out of love or anger. I didn't know, because either would be a blessing. And I can still, that right there on the back right there, Prabhupada's blessing. And I just continued, Namaste, Saraswati, and then Prabhupada said something. But I couldn't hear. He said it kind of softly. And then after a few moments, I was right near Prabhupada's feet. His feet walked away and he went to another part of the chamber, the room there. So I waited and I got up. Prabhupada wasn't in the room anymore. And Nanda Kumar was there, and I looked over at him and his mouth was open like, and I said, "Prabhu, what happened?" He said, "Prabhupada slapped you on the back." I said, "Yeah, I know." It hit me hard. "Yeah, I know." I said, "And what did he say?" And he smiled, he said, "Oh, it was so nice," he said. "Prabhupada told you, so much endeavor in this material world, but when I take you back home, back to Godhead, everything will be easy and sublime." Srila Prabhupada ki. So, all of us, we receive so many instructions from Srila Prabhupada in the books, but if a disciple is fortunate enough to get a personal instruction or a personal blessing from the spiritual master, they treasure that and they keep it in their heart forever. And quite often, as the years went on and there were sometimes difficulties in Krishna consciousness, as the movement spread, there was so much opposition, and just the daily service of going out on Sankirtan, it was cold, it was hot, I was tired, or there were days like that. Then I just remember those words: so much endeavor in this material world, but when I take you back home, back to Godhead, everything will be easy and sublime. So I just, when those days come, I just think like that. Those are Prabhupada's words. Let us struggle to serve Srila Prabhupada, push on the Sankirtan movement in this world, because in the end, Prabhupada's going to take us all back home, back to Godhead. And when we go back to the spiritual world, everything's going to be easy and sublime. After we arrived in London, we spent a couple of days there. We went to Srila Prabhupada's room, myself and Bhagavan. And Prabhupada had actually called for us. He called for us because he wanted to give us some encouragement, because we were going from there to Paris. So someone said, "Prabhupada wants to see you." So we came and knocked on the door, and Nanda Kumar answered the door, and he invited us in. And Prabhupada was sitting behind a low desk there, paid obeisances, and Prabhupada started preaching about the importance of the Sankirtan movement, and how he was very appreciative that we were going there and we were going to, help the Sankirtan movement, and Krishna will give us all facility, and then he looked over, he was looking at me, and he said, "So, my instruction is, preach boldly and have faith in the holy names." And that, again, it was like, into my heart, And that's another instruction which I've kept and I meditate on constantly. Preach boldly and have faith in the holy names. And then Prabhupada said, "So I'll give you something to encourage you." And he reached over in his drawer and he pulled out some of his clothes. And he handed something to Bhagavan Das, I can't remember what it was, and he reached him and he handed me one of his dhotis. I took that dhoti and I went, whoa, I took it to my heart and I said, wow, now I have something that I can treasure. I have the instruction from Srila Prabhupada to preach boldly, and have faith in the holy names. And I have his dhoti. I have his own dhoti. And although I was a grihastra, I used to always wear that dhoti like a chadar. And sometimes sannyasis would come to Europe, I won't mention who, but one of the sannyasis said to me, "You're a householder. You can't wear saffron." I said, "Maharaj, yes I can. This is Prabhupada's dhoti, and no one's going to make me take this dhoti." He goes, "Oh, this is Prabhupada's dhoti." Huh? I said, "Yes." I used to wear that thing till it just wore out. That dhoti. So we, with Prabhupada's blessings, we went to Paris. And I remember that when we walked in the temple at Fontenay-aux-Roses, because in America things were building up, we had big temples and the deities and the things were organized, and we got to Paris and a little house outside of Paris, and we walked into the temple room, and as we walked into the temple, the altar collapsed. It was an altar of cardboard boxes and a couple of sticks, and they had a picture of Panchatattva, and the devotee was having a big kirtan. We walked in and we went, "Oh my gosh, where did Prabhupada send us? Look at this place. It's an old building, it's cold, there's no heat, the altar." But the kirtan was ecstatic. Lochananda was leading the kirtan. It was a really nice kirtan. And about a couple of weeks later, Prabhupada came over to Paris, and we received him there, and small little temple. And all I can remember about that visit, we had a program in the American Center downtown. I remember all the German devotees came. Hansa Duda brought all the German devotees from Germany, and we had a program there. And I remember there's some problems outside. We didn't want to tell Prabhupada. Some ruffians came and tried to make some. And I remember taking a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada, and the French had these nice houses and little gardens like this, and I was kind of impressed by how nice the gardens were and houses were. Prabhupada, he wasn't impressed. He looked at me and said, "He's French," he said, "they're so expert at sense gratification." Prabhupada visited us in France several times. On one visit, 1973, 74, he came to install Radha Parish Ishwara. And during the installation ceremony, it's a very simple installation ceremony, we had Radha and Krishna in two big buckets. We did the installation ceremony like that, and I was standing next to the Vyasasan, and as they were bathing Srimati Radharani, she had a little, the color of the marble was kind of a deep, like a rose color here in her face, right in her cheek. And Prabhupada thought that it was just some, something from the Abhishek, maybe the ghee mixed with some color, or turmeric or something. And I remember I was looking at the installation, watching the installation, and then Prabhupada got up off his Vyasasan, and he was walking with so much concern and so much care and love towards the deity of Radharani. And when he got up very close to her, and he folded his hands, and then he went like this on her face. He thought it was something could be removed, but it was the color of the marble. He went like this, so much. And I was watching that, I was thinking, Prabhupada, he doesn't see the deity as marble. He's actually seeing that Radharani's there. And he's treating her with so much love and devotion. I remember how careful he was doing like that. And for me, just that one incident convinced me so much about deity worship. Like the pujaris pray before they do the puja. "My dear Lord, you are not a statue. You are directly the son of Maharaj Nanda." And although I didn't know that quote at that time, Prabhupada's his intimate dealings with the deity convinced me the deity is not stone, it's actually Krishna, actually Radha. Like he said when he installed the little small Radha and Krishna in Los Angeles, he said, "If you see these deities as brass, they'll remain brass to you forever. But if you follow the rules and regulations of Scripture and you worship them with love and devotion," he said, "one day these deities will speak to you." So like this, Prabhupada did so many great things around the world, so monumental achievements. But because he was a pure devotee, the little things he did were also wonderful. Like Krishna is greater than the greatest and smaller than the smallest. So his pure devotee, by the Lord's grace, is able to do huge things. But even the small things he does, because they're imbued with pure devotion to the Lord, they're also very significant and very endearing and captivating. So, like when Prabhupada would play kartal, the way he would move his fingers and the way he would chant, this is just always captivating for me. He was doing them in pure devotion for Radha and Krishna.